Sal Berry and Tim Parish. This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. Sal Berry along with Tim Parish. Today we are going to talk about the 2020 NHL All-Star Skills Competition and 2020 NHL All-Star Game. We're also going to talk about a couple of sets that we like from about 10 years ago or so, the champ sets from Upper Deck, 09, 10, 8, 9, a couple other years of Upper Deck champs hockey cards. We'll get to that a little later. First, we're going to get into the all-star stuff. So, Tim, how are you today?
I am terrific.
That's good. That's good. I heard you got a new table for sorting cards.
That and eating food.
Oh,
depends on your perspective.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when it's not dinner time, then it could be a card sorting table.
I actually may repurpose the old one for that. So.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Is it like a drop leaf table or is it like a full size table or?
It's a full table. So.
Yeah, tables are a dangerous thing because you start putting stuff on them and then the stuff just grows. You know, it's like moss on the side of a tree or like weeds in a garden. You put something on a table and then it just kind of grows out from there.
Yeah, that's one of the downfalls of having any flat open surfaces in my house.
Yeah, like the top of your printer, the top of your scanner, that's every inch of your desk, you know, that corner table, the coffee table.
Yeah, and I'm sure the new house, it's going to get cluttered quick enough, so without me throwing cards all over a table.
So, what did you get a chance to watch the skills competition on Friday and the women's 3-on-3 game?
I most certainly did.
So, real quick, I'm just going to recap the winners of all of that. So, the fastest skater was Matthew Barzal, New York Islanders. The save streak, Jordan Binnington of the St. Louis Blues. Accuracy shooting, Jacob Slavin, Carolina Hurricanes. Hardest shot, Shea Weber, surprise, surprise, Montreal Canadiens. Shooting stars, Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks. And then in a women's 3-on-3 game, Canada beat the United States 2-1. So just getting a little facts out of the way. So I wanted to know, what did you think of the skills competition?
Skills competition's always fun. I think it's always entertaining to watch. I know they mix it up from year to year, but it's fun to see the guys kind of perform and do things that are out of their element. Because anytime you can throw some chance of personality in with these guys, it's fun to watch. And the fact that they added the 3-on-3 women's event, that was very entertaining. That was actually pretty good hockey. It had me excited for Team USA, but unfortunately they fell a little short. And the goaltending, I was shocked. The goaltending was outstanding. So
the Canadian women's goaltender, just a little bit of quick math, she made 18 out of 19 saves. So if you think about that, she was stopping about one shot a minute. So if you do the math at like a 60-minute game, that's almost 60 shots a game. That'd be 54 shots a game, or 55, let's say between 54 and 58 shots a game. Doing that math, that's a lot of saves.
That's insanity.
Yeah. So, I mean, It wasn't that Team USA wasn't trying. It's that the Canadian women's goalie was so good. I mean, both teams were so good. And it's just like the argument, what's a better game, a 10-9 blowout or a 1-0 battle? And I think the argument here is that it was a 2-1 game, but nobody... Well, I don't want to say nobody, because there have been a lot of critics on Twitter, because there's always women's sports, there's no market for it. You know, those guys, right? Like, women can't dunk, so WNBA is terrible, right? You know, those
some of them can.
Right?
Some of them can.
What? I can't dunk. Shit, I can't hit a free throw. Neither can Shaq, but Shaq makes millions of dollars and he can dunk. I can't do either.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into I was gonna say you could also form a complete sentence and spell, but you know, that's I'm joking, of course. But I love Shaq. He's great.
Yeah, we all love Shaq.
Yeah,
like when you see him doing the Gold Bond commercials, and you're just like, oh man, like, because he was like the face of the young new NBA, you know, and it was Shaq, right? That was like the guy of our generation, you know. I mean, like for as far as basketball goes. And now he's doing like, got back pain, need back relief. And it's just like, oh man.
Gold Bond, icy hot. He's selling insurance for the general.
Yeah, he is.
Guy will do anything. But anyway, yeah, I mean, as far as the skills competition go, like I said, it was fun to watch the women play. I didn't think anyone stood a chance at beating Connor McDavid in the fastest skater, but lo and behold, Barzell got out there and and beat him by, it was only a few tenths of a second, I think.
And just to say how quick from the first place to the last place was just over a second. So like literally 1/1000. That's it. That's the difference separating the best, the fastest, and the slowest skater. So the slowest skater, we're talking like nothing. I mean, doing a lap around the rink in 14 seconds is insane.
Some of those guys can fly.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they haul. And it blows my mind, especially when you see him going around with that kind of velocity going around the rink, and they get down real low to get those turns in, and the edge work on their skates. It's just, I could see myself just falling and crashing into the wall, and that'd be the end of that.
Oh yeah, that's I mean, that is. I remember when I was doing when I was first learning how to play hockey, and sometimes at the end of one of our lessons, we'd be on a full-sized rink, and the coach would make us do like 3 laps around the ice, and I'd be dying. But then there'd be people like trying to do a corner and wipe out. And again, this is a beginner's class, but I mean, it's tough, and especially it's funny because you see them go into sometimes that first turn or that second turn, and you see them kind of glide for just that split second, because it's almost like they need to get their bearing, because if they keep crossing over, they're going to hit the wall. So they need to just kind of glide, kind of go straight, and then start cutting their turn around the net. And it seemed that like those who were able to do that glide a little bit less, that's really what made up the difference. Because the straightaway skating is no problem. It's going around the nets. That's the hard part that makes it challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You put some obstruction in your way, and you gotta move. But
yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of surprising that Connor got dethroned from that. The save streak thing was, I like it. Like I like the fact that they have a goalie competition in there.
Agree.
I don't necessarily like the way they do it. They basically go through one round of guys from whatever team it is, and then what is it? 9? There were 9 players.
There were 9,
shots.
and then if the goalie makes saves the last guy, who's the team captain, then they get to
keep going.
Until
they give one up, right?
Until they give one up.
Yeah. So Bennington won with 10 saves, and I mean, when they started this, didn't Fleury win it, and he had like 14 in a row or 15 in a row or something like that a few years ago?
I don't know, because it seems like the last couple of years I wasn't able to watch the skills competition, so I wasn't always aware of what was going on with that. What I found though is that I liked this. It was nice for the goalies to have an event that was about the goalies, but it seemed like a little bit of it wasn't so much about the goalie making the save as the other guy just screwing up. Tries to make a fancy move and the puck rolls off his stick, the end. Or shoots and misses the net, the end. Or puts
Tristan
on a
Jarry
Justin Bieber mask and can't see where he's shooting, the end.
Yeah, but that was cool.
That was great.
That was great. Considering the backstory and everything with them going at each other on Instagram or whatever it was about, Bieber being able to score a shootout goal against Bennington. But yeah, the fact that Tomas Hertl put on that mask, that was pretty cool. But what you were saying, Tristan Jarry, I mean, when he was up, he got in net, and the first two guys like didn't even shoot it on the goal. Right. So it's like those are counted as saves, but
they're not really
you didn't really do anything. So if they're not a shot on goal, how does it count as a save? It doesn't count like that in a normal game. But I think they
Well,
should tweak I think they should tweak the goalie thing a little bit and make it a little more interesting rather than just sitting there in net and facing guys. I think they should probably do something like set guys up around in different spots in front of them and do
mhm.
like a guy fires from Ovechkin's office area, guy fires
Mhm.
from the blue line, guy fires
Mhm.
from the other side, guy skates up and like do like this rapid fire thing.
Mhm.
um, I don't know, maybe goalies can't handle it, nor do they want to go to an all-star game and actually have to stretch and do something. So maybe that's why
Well,
they
the
don't.
argument against a rapid fire thing, and actually this has also been talked about like for goalie training and goalie practices, is that what happens with something like that is that you're putting goalies into a situation that doesn't exist in a real game because there's one puck, right? So a goalie is not going to face a shot from the blue line and then from the opposite blue line. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to happen like that where like shot
Well,
from the left
maybe.
point. No,
Yeah, no,
because
I
it's going
understand.
to, or they're going to have enough time to reset, or the next shot is going to be from the slot and they're going to be more, closer to it. So, I mean,
Well, maybe
it's been
not
this.
rapid fire, but maybe like this guy fires. Okay, and then you got like 3 seconds. Then this guy fires, and then so they have the ability to get back into position. I don't know. I want to see something like exciting. I want to see like a crazy Marc-Andre Fleury save. Where he dives across the goal and saves it with the very tip of his stick or something like that. I
Pulls
don't
a
know.
groin muscle and is out for
Well, that
8
and that's
games.
yeah. So there's the argument for that. All right, maybe leave it alone.
I
But
liked these are the events that I liked back in the day. I liked the breakaway challenge, which they didn't do this time. They kind of did, but it was different. It was, instead of this being about scoring a goal and getting a point, it was more about the goalie making a save. I mean, different way of looking at it. But I loved it when like they would take that shot on the goalie. They do like a basically like a penalty shot or a shootout goal. And I guess maybe now we're not so excited about that. But back in the day, to have somebody like Gretzky, pick it up at the red line, skate down and take a shot on Wah, and then Lemieux pick it up at the red line, skate it down and take a shot on Belfour. I mean, that was back in the day. That was, I thought, a really fun event. Maybe it's now kind of passe because we have shootouts all the time.
yeah, because you see them more often than you do. I don't know. I think they should be able to do something to tweak the goalie thing. The accuracy shooting thing. I always like the accuracy shooting, and it always amazes me how quick guys can hit those targets. But
Mm-hmm.
man, did they flub this one up this year? you
Yeah,
know,
well, they tried something new and it didn't
yeah,
work.
they tried those digital boards with those plexiglass covers, and I mean, what, two guys went, and the whole thing was broken, and it wouldn't work. And so they have this like nerdy looking IT guy come slithering out onto the ice to change out the thing. And so
I like that they tried something different. I like that they were animated. I don't know if that's distracting or not. I almost kind of wanted it to be like a shooting gallery with like the little ducks going by and
that'd be
stuff
kind of
like
cool.
that. I'd
Yeah, that'd
like
be
that, or like press your luck. Remember press your luck with the whammies?
whammies. Yeah.
You get a whammy, and then a little whammy comes out and makes fun of you, right? And I would love something like that. Like the player misses the net and the whammy comes out and starts making fun of him.
Well, I know it's a totally different motion, but if you nobody really watches the Pro Bowl for
Okay.
football, but they have a skills competition as well, and they have um, guys go up and grab a football and throw it at targets at various distances, and a lot of the targets are moving,
Well, that's
so
cool.
you're throwing at a moving target. Um, so yeah, that would be a kind of thing. And if they're going to do the digital screen and kind of keep that, I mean, there's all sorts of things they could program with that type of thing, but. Um, yeah, I mean, I usually like that event, but I wish they would bring back the old styrofoam target.
There was
Those were
something satisfying
yeah,
about that.
yeah. When you hit the target and they explode into a million pieces, that was cool.
Now, didn't they with that one? Wasn't when they had the player passing the puck to you and then they'd shoot it, or
Yeah,
was
and you
that the
fire.
But was that with a goalie or not a goalie? I can't remember. But I remember like there'd be a whistle and then somebody pass and then shoot, and then a whistle and then pass and shoot.
I thought it was with the targets. I don't think they ever had a goalie in net for that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's funny you say that because that's when they dusted off good old Bernie Federko and had him come out on the ice. And I thought he was going to shoot.
I did
Like,
too.
yeah, they bring him out on the ice, and I'm like, oh, Bernie's gonna shoot. This he's gonna teach these young guys a thing or two. And he comes out and he just passes the puck to, was it? It was one of the Blues players.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think it was Ryan O'Reilly, I think.
too
And he
much
just
pressure,
passes the
though.
puck and he shoots it and misses the net a couple times, and then he waves to the crowd and goes off the ice. I'm like, what the heck? I was like, oh, I was expecting something to happen, and then he didn't do anything.
If you're a retired player, and I think you'd want to avoid at all costs like doing something like that, because if Bernie goes out and he shoots the puck and he misses the net, then people would be like, oh, he must have not been that good, or oh, I guess that's why he's retired, or you just get the shitty comments from people. Like, nobody wants to be embarrassed, you know what I mean?
That's only the morons, though.
Oh, but there's so many morons. There's so many morons, and they're all
Well,
on
that's true.
Twitter
That's true.
or Facebook
No,
or
that's true.
Instagram. I mean,
But I think
they're out there.
well, they sort of redeemed themselves with the Al McGinnis thing when Al came out and grabbed his wooden stick
Hmm.
and blasted the puck in, and it registered for the hardest shot at 100.4, which you saw it go in, and you're like, 100. There's no way that was 100.4, but of course that was his old
Record.
record. So that's what they put up, and anybody that beat it, they donated money to their favorite charity.
Right, and allegedly they forgot to turn it on for Seth Jones, which is why his first shot didn't register.
Yeah, his first throw didn't count, but
they didn't turn on the gun for real, the radar
Right.
gun.
But you had to know, like with the hardest shot, you saw that Shea Weber was there, so you had to know he was going to win. Like, I don't think there was any doubt in anyone's mind that he was going to win. There was nobody on that list that I thought could have beat him.
No, but there were a lot of hard shots in that event. I mean,
There
there were a
were,
lot
I
of
mean,
over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think 4 or 5. There were 4 or 5 shots that were over 100 miles an hour. And Seth Jones, like his second one was almost 100, I thought. So, but yeah, so the hardest shot's always fun to watch to see how much power those guys have.
Mhm.
And Shea Weber wins it again for what, like the fourth time.
Something like that.
But now the Shooting Stars one, that was interesting.
I liked it. It was fun.
I did. I liked it. It was fun. It was kind of like watching. It was kind of like Top Golf for hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's familiar with Top Golf, it's a lot of fun. But it's just kind of like that. But like the way it was described, it wasn't what I was expecting. And when it actually came to fruition, and I saw what it was really happening, I'm like, wait a minute. The Penguins did this like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there were videos of multiple players as part of the KeyBank. They do like a little KeyBank promotion through their website and everything else, and they'll do videos for different things. And it was a competition between Crosby and Malkin. Only they were shooting the puck into the net from the upper deck in one of the gates in the arena. So they were standing in the doorway of the arena on a mat and firing the puck all the way from the roof down to the ice and trying to get it into the net on the other side. And basically that was kind of the same concept. So I thought, wonder if this is where they got the idea from. But it was kind of cool to have all the targets. The only thing I didn't like about that, though, everybody was shooting for that center target.
Oh, there's a reason for that. They all agreed to shoot for it. They all made a pact ahead of time. They just said, you know what? Let's just all go for the big target.
What? Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, that kind of takes the fun in this. I mean, you're trying to score and you're trying to get the highest score, and there's all sorts of ways to do it. That's why I kept saying, like, why doesn't somebody fire it down to the other end of the ice? It'd probably be easier to get it into the net, and that's 4 points. Instead of keep trying to throw it into this 10-pointer where everybody's hitting it and it's not counting because it's going in the top.
Right, yeah, because you could be strategic and probably just say, all right, I'm going to hit that 4-pointer all the time and get 40 points, and that would have been like the highest one. But no, from what I understand, they all just agreed, you know what, let's all just aim for the 10-pointer. Which was the biggest target, but it was also hard to hit because the arch, you couldn't get it. There were like 2 arches. It was almost like you had 2 arches, and if it went above and in between the 2 arches and in, it would light up but not count. So it had to basically,
it had to
it had
go
to fall
through the
before
first
the
one.
first arch.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to go through the first one and into the netting, because if it
Mhm.
went over the top of the arch, it went onto the back of the netting, and most of the time slid down the back and fell
Yes.
underneath it.
Yes.
Which you're like, well, it went in.
Right.
No, not according to their points. So like, I think Mitch Marner did that, and um, didn't was Pasternak in that one? I
I
don't
think
remember if
so.
Pasternak was in that one or not, but the multiple one. Yeah, I think Pasternak hit it too, and it didn't count. And I'm like, what? That's kind of bizarre. But I thought everybody should have been shooting it like strategically at all the different targets to see. I think if they're going to do that event again, they should tweak it and be like, okay, you have to aim at this target, and you have so many seconds. So like, you got 2 minutes to do all of this. So 40,
Mhm.
you have 40 seconds. We're going to keep feeding you pucks. You have to hit something at this target, and then something at this target, and something, and it gets further and further back. Do
Mhm.
something like that. I think that would be a little more interesting.
Well, and I think maybe the inspiration for this was just great McDonald's commercials from the late 90s that had Matt Sundin and Wayne Gretzky playing a game where they're shooting the puck and they're like going back and forth and they're like, oh, I'm going to shoot it this way. And then the other one shoots it and I'm going to hit it off the post. And then the other one hits it off the post. And then they're like in the stands and they're like shooting the puck. And then the other one shoots the puck. And it's just ridiculous. They're like basically like, they're like playing this game of horse basically, but with pucks to like, I don't know, over somebody's French fries or something. It was a cute commercial back in the day. You could
They
find
did
it
the
on
same
YouTube.
thing. Yeah, they did the same thing with like Jordan and Bird.
Yeah,
Off
yeah,
the scoreboard, off of here, nothing but net. And
that's
then
exactly, yeah. Then
go
actually, I
back and
know
forth.
I know that one better because I mean that one aired in the U.S. and I think the other one only aired in Canada with Sundin and Gretzky. But I mean Gretzky was a Ranger by then, so it might have aired in the US. I don't know, probably not because we never get any hockey commercials except for Marty Brodeur, and I didn't even see that during the skills competitions. Oh,
Oh,
I did
it was
actually.
on multiple times.
It was, but
Yeah.
what was the other? Oh, and that and the Dunkin' Donuts with Pasternak.
Did you notice there's like 3 or 4 different versions of that one now?
Which one?
The
The
of
Dunkin'
the
Donuts?
Dunkin' Donut one. So there was the original one where he's in the penalty box, right?
Yeah.
And then so this one now has Kendall Coyne Schofield in it,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
there's 3 different versions that I saw. So
Yeah.
there's one where she's talking about, when we make fun of other players or whatever, we call it chirping. So like, here's one, and she says something like, "The only thing you got going for you on the ice, Pasta, is that cold brew in your hand." And then the first one I saw, he says something like, "Oh yeah, well, I've I'm a something like I'm a cold brewing."
No, 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 no. She said, oh no, she said something. No, that wasn't about the chirp. That was a different. That was a different one. The one with the chirp, he said she
Is that
said,
when he says Pasta's feelings hurt and he skated
yeah,
away?
and he skates
Okay.
away. That's hilarious. But
Yeah, I
the other
couldn't
one
remember which one.
was like she said something, and then he said, "I'm a cold." I forget what it
Yeah, he's
was.
like, I'm a cold brewing. And she's just looking at him. He's like, get it? Brewing? I'm
Mm-hmm.
a brewing. And she's just like, okay. I'm
Yeah,
like, I imagine that's how the actual conversation would have gone if it was real.
yeah.
Because he's got a personality, and it's pretty funny, some of the stuff that he says. But
Well, I'm always happy to see a hockey player in a commercial or two hockey players in a commercial. So,
yeah,
uh,
overall, I was fairly entertained with most of the skills competition.
it was funny when they brought Wayne Gretzky out, and they're like all-time leading point scorer and former St. Louis Blue Wayne Gretzky. And I'm like, yeah, for about 12 minutes
Yeah,
until Mike Keenan ran him out of town. I'm like, what's next? Is Marty Brodeur going to come out as like the all-time greatest St. Louis Blue goaltender?
yeah, exactly. They put their stamp on anybody that's ever put on a jersey.
Yeah, we had you for 5 minutes, so you're our yeah. I mean, obviously like Fedorko, Kachuk, Hull, McInnes. I mean, those guys were Blues players for a long time, but Gretzky, it was like they had the right idea with Gretzky. I mean, they had the right idea with Wayne Gretzky acquiring him. I mean, they were trying to make a run for it, and they had a damn good team. I mean, they had Hull, they had McInnes, they had Grant Fuhrer. I mean, they had a good team,
Did
but
they did they have Adam Oates at the same time,
no,
or was he
Oates
gone
was
already?
It
He
was
already
long
gone.
gone by then.
Okay.
Yeah, because if it ain't broke, trade him away, right? Because
Right.
because I don't know why they would have. Hull actually defended that decision, and he's like, "Yeah, set me up for a lot of goals, but I also got a lot of goals with Craig Janney as my center." But it's like, yeah, but you were doing really good with Adam Oates. You could have just left you two alone for 10 years and just let it happen. You know what I mean? Instead of like,
Yeah.
well, this is good, but can it be better? It's like, dude's got 86 goals this season. Leave him alone.
Speaking of Hall, they paraded him out and about multiple times over
Yep.
the weekend. They
He
brought
was
him
sober
out.
this time.
Well, and that's the thing. My wife and I were watching it, and I'm like, every time they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Brett Hall," and the crowd would go crazy, and he'd come sauntering out, and the first thing I'd say to her, I'm like, "Let's see how drunk he is."
Yeah.
That's good
Yeah.
times.
Go ahead, kiss Bernie Federico on the forehead. We know you want to, Holly. That's okay. We love him
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So, okay. So skills competition, and then the next night we had the All-Star game. Now, it was funny. I got home a little late. I was out for my birthday yesterday. During the Saturday night All-Star game, went out with the family for my birthday, and
Happy belated birthday.
oh well, it's January 27th is my birthday, so we were
Happy early birthday. Happy
Or-
birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, unless you're listening to this podcast on the 27th, then happy birthday today, right?
Yes.
That's a weird thing about recordings. You don't know when the audience is listening to this.
Well, happy birthday whenever that day is.
Right. So anyway, another year older, not necessarily another year wiser. But my sister and aunt, they bought me something pretty cool. They bought me it was a game worn practice jersey, worn by a Chicago Wolves player. It didn't have a name on the back. It's just a practice jersey, but it's still something they bought from the team. But I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, And I tried it on, and it actually fit comfortably. I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to get gear over it. Probably. I don't know if it's small enough or big enough or not, whatnot. But that was like their gift to me, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, because it's
cool.
something that you don't see every day that you can't just go in the store and buy.
Right.
So we're out, and then by the time I got home and I got settled and this, that, and the other thing, so I kind of missed the first half of the first game. So I caught the second half and the end of the first game. So just to recap, game one, Atlantic beat Metropolitan 9-5. Game two, Pacific beat Central 10-5. And in final game, Pacific beat Atlantic 6-4 was the final. So a couple of things. I like this 3-on-3 format. I know people are already criticizing it today. I read an article already, and of course, people on Twitter and stuff, and they said that the players look bored, the players don't look engaged, the players aren't trying that hard, and I kind of saw that a little bit. There was not that intensity when you see like a 3-on-3 overtime, and the players like are skating their asses off because it's do or die. It's next goal wins, right? There's a sense of urgency that isn't necessarily there, but it didn't detract from my enjoyment of the game. And I liked that the third and final game, it was a lot closer. It was back and forth until the end. I appreciated that.
Yeah, that was definitely. I mean, I got the same feeling. The very first game I thought was really flat. The Atlantic versus Metro game. I mean, other than the ups and downs of the crowd yelling and screaming and cheering and booing for various people, namely Pasternak, the boos rained down because he's obviously a Bruin.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of felt the same way about that one. It was kind of flat. But let me just say this to all the detractors out there about all this. You're not a hockey fan, okay? The people that are complaining about this, they're not hockey fans. They really aren't. Because if you enjoy the game of hockey and you like watching it, this was enjoyable. It really was. The whole entire thing. Skills competition the day before and the game itself and the whole event and pageantry and everything else. Whether you like the hockey or not, that's not what it's about, okay? It wasn't about that. No one in their right mind as a hockey fan expects to see an all-star game where guys are going to be out there and just, you know, getting pucks in deep and going hard and putting forth a whole team effort and everything. They're not going to. It's an all-star game. They're out there to have fun. And they're always going to be Well, not always. They're generally going to be lopsided games. There's going to be a ton of goals, and I feel really bad for the goaltenders all the time. But that's what it is. It's to showcase all the talent, and 9 times out of 10, it's now that it's the 3-on-3 format, it's guys skating out there and they're trying to do the tic-tac-toe passes to make it look pretty for a highlight reel goal. That's what it is. And it's always that, because if you notice in the first game and the second game, it was pass, 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 pass. And it was like, come on, somebody shoot the puck. But, that's what it is. And you can't expect to have, the best looking hockey. And I know a lot of people don't like the 3-on-3, even during the regular season, but I think it's exciting. I enjoyed it. And, it is what it is. Yeah, the first game was flat. Game 2 got a little bit better, even though it was 10-5. But that last game, I thought the second half of the last game, I mean, it was like all of a sudden everybody woke up and we're like, oh yeah, we're playing for $1 million. We better go out there and do something. And then it got good.
Yeah.
It actually was pretty decent hockey at that point. So, the All-Star game is always going to be that. It's going to be an All-Star game. Nobody watches the NBA All-Star game because people feel like nobody plays defense, so everybody's playing offense. The score is going to be 175 to 160, and it's no different than watching a regular NBA game. Nobody watches the Pro Bowl because most of the players decide not to go, and there's all kinds of replacement players there, and nobody cares to watch it. So in general, especially over the last probably 10 to 15 years, the viewership on All-Star games has gone way down because they know that this is kind of what it is. And yeah, does the NHL have guys that don't want to show up and don't want to play? Yeah, of course. We saw that this year. And that was another thing too. The not to like jump all around here and stuff, but
it's okay.
When they had these celebrity guest coaches on the benches for the teams, and Gretzky was on the bench for the Pacific, and Brian Boucher's down there and basically talks to him, and he asks, you played in 18 All-Star games, and what's it like to be selected to an All-Star game? And as soon as he asked the question, I'm like, this was a setup. This was a total setup. And sure enough, Gretzky answers, and Gretzky's a great ambassador for hockey, great ambassador for the game. I mean, like him or hate him, he's good. He's good for hockey. But he gave that what I expected as an NHL answer of, I was, I came to every single one of these games and I was excited and they were so much fun. And, I always came with the thought that I've played with so many great players and those guys are never going to even be in an All-Star game. And, I think of those guys that never get the opportunity and it never will. And, I don't take any of it for granted and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is a dig at all the guys that were like, I don't want to go, or, oh, I faked an injury. Oh, I pulled a groin, or, whatever. Yeah, the NHL implements now that you have to sit out a game if you decide not to go and you're not injured. Well, okay, so Austin Matthews fakes a wrist injury and shows up anyway, so he doesn't have to play, but he also doesn't have to sit out the next game. So guys are going to find ways around it. They're going to do what they do, but I just thought that was a nice little dig to say, you know what? And we talked about it, I think, on the last show is, in the old days, guys would not do that. Guys show up, guys play, because that's how they were. And you don't have that anymore. So, but.
Well, like one thing I remember.
I don't want to be the get off my lawn guy.
Get off my lawn, yeah. No, I mean, we talked about that and we debated about how we don't like the fact that players don't want to come. Like, we understand why they don't want to come to the All-Star game, but we understand why they don't want to come, but at the same time, we want them to be there. Like at the end of the All-Star game, when they were like just kind of closing things up, and they talked with Max Pacioretty of the Vegas Golden Knights. And, again, he gave a very affirmative, because that was his first All-Star game, and he was just like...
Was it the interview at the booth, or was it the interview they did with him down in the hallway?
It was up in the stands.
Okay.
Like
So he had already changed clothes and everything?
Yeah, he already
All right,
changed
I
clothes.
watched
He
that
was
one. I watched
yeah,
that one.
and so you see the ice behind them and the empty
Yeah.
stands, and
Yeah.
he was just saying, I never thought this would happen. I'm so excited to be here. There were a few times I thought I should have been here, but I wasn't here. And the older you get, the harder it gets to come. He said, but with this, that, and the other thing, he was so excited he got to come. He got to bring his 4 boys, and they were old enough to, be interested and excited about it and not just like not care about it. And I mean, I felt good for him. And I mean, if you'd said Max Pacioretty's on the All-Star team, you'd be like, yeah, okay, he's a good player. He's good for Vegas. I mean, you might argue that this player is better or that player is better. I mean, again, people are even saying like, well, Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk are not even like top 10. They're not even in the top 20 in scoring. But who cares? I mean, they're good players. I mean, there's always going to be better players that could have been in the All-Star game for one reason or another, whether it's because you had a coach pick his goalie over the goalie who was better, or you had the coach pick a couple guys from his team versus guys on other teams that were maybe more deserving, or because a player gets injured or whatever. You know what I mean? You're not always going to have that. I think that's what the All-Star, the first team All-Star and the second team All-Star at the end of the season are for. When you say, here are the best 12 players in the NHL, right? But the All-Star game, like you said, it needs to be a pageantry, right? So we were happy to see Keith Tkachuk with his 2 boys. Even if you're not like a big fan of the Tkachuks, you're like, all right, that's a nice thing. You know what I mean? Or
I was just
Pacioretty.
hoping they recreated that photo of him down on the knee on the ice and them sitting on the dasher board wall. I was hoping they would recreate that photo.
Yeah, then and now, that would be
Yeah.
great, right?
Uh-huh.
Now they're yeah, exactly. I don't think they'd want to do that, but that would be funny. But yeah, like you said, the pageantry, and that's what I like about the All-Star game. I mean, it's like the game itself takes a back seat to all the other stuff, to the skills competition, or like the years that they had the player draft. That that was always kind of a
Player
highlight.
draft was fun. When Phil Kessel would be the last one drafted all the time, and that was the running joke. That was
Except
always
for
funny.
that time that Ovechkin wanted to be drafted last, and it was just
Yes.
like, okay, Ovi, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
stick to your day job, because intentional comedy is not your strong suit.
He does pretty good as the head in the bowling bag on the commercial.
That was creepy.
It was creepy.
Or the one where he's in the locker.
Yes.
But then what I didn't like that. So the one in the locker where the kid opens the locker and Ovechkin's head is in the locker and he's like, "Hey, did you get the stick or the skates?" Right? They were like were they for skate? I don't even remember. Right? He's done commercials and I don't even remember what they're for. But then he's like, "Oh, good. Now the world will be ours, all of ours." Ha ha ha.
Yeah, and
I'm
he has
like,
that crazy laugh.
no, and that's fine. Just the line was. Then a maniacal person never says the world will be ours. They say the world will be. Come on, channel your inner.
The world will be mine.
Your inner Cobra Commander. The world will be mine.
Yeah.
Right? They never say good. Now the world will be ours. Ha ha ha. Right? That just like the laugh was fine.
I think that was a CCM commercial.
CCM commercial. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, like you said, the pageantry, the player intros, all of that stuff. That's the highlight. I mean, the game. How do we make the game more intense? Well, let's make it $2 million. Let's make it $3 million. Well, I don't know. Maybe these players are saying, shit, I'm making $8 million a year. I don't want to hurt myself in an All-Star game. And I understand that. So they shouldn't. So what we get is okay.
And I agree with that entirely. So all the people that are saying, oh, this is this, come on. Don't watch. Don't comment, go away. That's kind of what my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't like it, don't watch it. I liked the fact that Green Day performed.
Oh, you like that, did you?
I like Green Day. Now,
a lot of people like Green Day. I'm not sure Gary Bettman's much of a fan anymore.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. If I go to a Green Day concert and they curse, that's fine. If I play their music and they curse, that's fine.
They do.
Right? If they curse on something that's live on NBC, it's like I was arguing with somebody on Twitter.
That?
I was arguing with somebody on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh, well, they you couldn't hear half the song because of all of their cursing." And I'm like, that doesn't lessen my enjoyment of the band Green Day.
Well, and not only that, you only saw the one song when they were outside. They actually played like 3 or 4 songs on the outside stage,
Okay.
and the one that they actually turned on when the tape was rolling, it was the last song that they played, which is why you see them play like one song, they all put their instruments down and leave and go inside the building.
Hmm.
And so you're thinking, wow, they only played one song? No, they had already played like 2 or 3 before that.
Hmm.
So they go in, and of course they play 2 of their biggest hits as they're in there. Well, it's freaking Green Day. You know, if you've known anything about Green Day and know what they come from and the background that they come from and what they stand for and everything else, you should have already known that this was going to happen and had the potential of happening, because they don't care. They're musicians. They do what they do. They don't care. They don't care about your rules. They don't care about any of that, because to them it doesn't mean anything.
Well,
So
there were a few times where they censored themselves. There were some times where they didn't say certain words in songs, and then and then there's just Billy Joe just like
I
cursing a
must have
blue
missed
screen.
that part, because I heard, maybe I was just
It was
singing the songs in my
American.
head.
It was American Idiot, and he didn't say the F word, and I don't mean the F word. I mean the other F word that's a
The,
slur towards gay people. He
you mean
didn't say that word. He
the
just
bundle of sticks?
right, yeah. He
Yes.
didn't say that word, and but I
He didn't?
he did not. And I played it back because I
Huh.
said, did they beep him or did they just mute it? No, because he stopped singing for that one word, but the music was still playing. So he just skipped a
Maybe I
word.
just know all the songs, and so I was singing them in my head, and then I just kept going. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
Speaking of knowing all the songs, I got to tell you, Green Day, Green Day, back in the day, I was I want to say I was a little resistant to liking Green Day, and I got to tell you, Basket Case was like the song that turned me into a fan.
Yeah.
Like I love that song. It just it's so perfect. I mean, do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once? And I just thought, that sounds like a lot of people I know. Now that sounds like me. But I that's the song where I'm like, all right, you know what? This band is not a one hit wonder. They got a few chops. I bought their '94 album Dookie, and then I liked it enough that I went back and I bought their earlier stuff, and I really liked their earlier stuff. And then that really got me into them, like a lot.
Well, that's one thing with the punk style of music. It's not intricate as structure, from a musical structure, but it's loud and it's obnoxious and it's in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, it has very poignant lyrics that are either politically charged
Yep.
or somehow socially charged, that gets people interested and keeps them interested. And that was it when Green Day came up. That was a time period where there was kind of a punk sort of revival going on.
Yeah. Third
Not
wave
that,
punk.
yeah, not that punk ever went away,
Nope.
but this was more of a mainstream type punk revival. And of course, I was one of the people who was like, Green Day, come on. They play 4 chords. How do people like this? It's just 4 chords over and over again. Every song. They all sound the same. And it's like, as you get older and listen to it, as I, I don't know that I would call myself a musician, but as a person that appreciates music, um, you know, you're right. It's something you may not necessarily like at first, but when you go back and really listen to it, you can jump on it. But the fact that they played at the All-Star game for the NHL, and the fact that the NHL signed some kind of contract with them or something. I don't know what the details were, but they signed some kind of deal with them as like a multi-year, like co business mingling thing, to where they're going to do all sorts of events and promos and everything else for the NHL. You Going back in their history, you had to know that all this was going to happen, or at least had a strong possibility of happening, because here's a band that's rooted in punk. Punk doesn't care. Punk doesn't believe in your rules, and punk will go out there and will tell you to F off. And that's exactly what they do. And so they did it. And now everybody's mad and wondering, oh, how could they do this? Because that's what they do. You shouldn't have expected anything less. So whatever executive got the bright idea that, hey, we should team up with Green Day because my, 15-year-old niece likes them. I don't know why they just said, just do it, and didn't really bother to do the research. But it was entertaining, that's for sure.
I think this 15-year-old niece is listening to someone else. But, it's funny. Like, one of my students who was in, like, his early 20s had a Green Day tattoo on his arm. And it wasn't just a Green Day tattoo. It was a line art graphic from the album Kerplunk, which was from 92. And I'm like, wow, not only is that a Green Day tattoo, but that's like a Green Day tattoo from before they went mainstream. That's like, wow, that's a fan, and for somebody to be like half my age and be that into Green Day, that was kind of cool. So I mean, this is definitely an example of music being cross-generational and this, that, and the other thing, especially with a band that's been around a long time. Have you listened to American Idiot? I know that's a long time ago, but that album?
Not in a long time, but I listened to it at the time that it came out.
Have you ever heard that? So there was a Broadway play of American Idiot. It was a musical, and there's actually like a Broadway.
Vaguely remember that.
It's not bad. It's different, but it's kind of strange to hear Green Day music sang by other people and it being like just way more orchestrated. You know what I mean? Instead of just like simple guitar music and drum and bass. You know what I mean? It's something else. I like it.
Interesting.
It's kind of weird, when like stuff that you think of as being like cutting edge and aggressive and anti-establishment and this and that. And it's like, no, it's a Broadway play too.
Yeah.
So I guess that, maybe Bettman saw that Broadway play many years ago and said, this band could be good for us.
I was going to say, I'm surprised they would sanction something like that. But what's more punk than saying, hey, let's be on Broadway? Because no one would expect that.
Let's make lots of money.
Well, yeah, there's that part too.
Well, but God forbid that musicians that you like make money.
That's right.
Green Day didn't
all play for free.
Yeah, Green Day didn't do it for the exposure. I mean, maybe they did at first, but then they did it for the money, and that's okay too.
That is okay.
And you know what? I could think of a million worse acts. I mean, the one that always comes to mind was a stadium series. It was like New York, New Jersey, and it was the Jersey Boys. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I feel like I'm ready for the retirement home watching this. You know what I mean? Versus like you had the stadium series in LA and they had like Kiss. It was like LA versus Anaheim and they had Kiss play. And that was like way cool. Like that's before my time, but I could be like, all right, Kiss is cool. Kiss is like, I was 10 years too late to be into that whole Kiss thing, but like I can appreciate them being way cooler, like to me, than like the Jersey Boys, right? That was like, to me, like, change the channel, right? So Green Day, it was just like, yes, like, oh my God, I need to turn this up all the way and just, and I guess that was a highlight for me, and that's okay. Oh, but you know what was not a highlight? The MVP voting.
What a segue that was. Yes, that was not a highlight.
So who did you pick again?
I was way off base. I said Nathan McKinnon was going to get it, and I don't think his name was even mentioned the whole weekend.
Well, because his team got eliminated in the first game. Now, Thomas Hertl scored 5 goals, 4 of them in the first game. Technically, he had a natural hat trick because he scored 3 goals in a row in the first game. However, the first game had already pretty much been decided by the time he scored that hat trick. So if you subtracted his 3 goals, it would have been a 7-5 win. I mean, those 3 goals at the end, because at that point it was just like, I want to say they scored 4 unanswered goals. He had 3 in, and I think somebody else had the last one, and that was it. But I'm thinking 4 goals. Oh man, I'm gonna be so right. I'm gonna get bragging rights for saying Tomas Hertl will be the MVP. And then in the second game, he's not doing anything. I mean, he's out there, he's trying this and that and the other thing, and then he gets the game-winning goal. So I'm thinking, all right, this puts him back in the conversation because that last game was a lot closer. It was back and forth. I felt it was very close to the vest. At the end, it opened up a little bit, but it was still a close back and forth game. And then I go on, they're like, the NHL's like, go on Twitter now and vote. And I'm like looking, and he's not one of the people you can vote for. But then I'm looking at the comments, and everybody's like, where's Tomas Hertl? Where's Tomas Hertl? Where's Hertl? Where's Hertl? Right? Like everybody was either tweeting that or John Scott, right? Who they wanted to be MVP. And he didn't win as a write-in. I tried, and as did many other people. Pasternak scored. He scored 4 goals and 2 assists. He won MVP. He even said that was strange because he was on the losing team, and the losing team usually doesn't win MVP and things like that, and that's true. Right. Don't know why it went to a guy on the losing team, but okay, whatever. It is what it is. It's not if I can't complain about, the players didn't put in 110% and we didn't get Ovechkin in, right? If I'm going to take all of that, then I got to also take that the MVP voting is maybe going to be a little bit skewed than what we'd expect. And you just got to be like, all right, that's okay. Not the end of the world.
I think they gave it to Pasternak because they were trying to do a cross promotion between Dunkin' Donuts and Honda, and advertised that the CRV hybrids that he won has enough cup holders to keep your coffee in that you get from Dunkin'. I think that's why they picked it.
Conspiracy theory.
Yes, exactly.
I like it.
That's what I'm saying. So, but yeah, I was shocked that he wasn't on there either. When they popped that list up, I'm like, wow, Hertl's not there. I'm like, they really, really have instituted the John Scott rules to the 10th degree.
The John Scott rules?
Yeah, all the different rules that they put in place and take the voting away from the people. So instead of saying you can vote for whoever you want, it's okay, you can vote for these 4 guys. Right. And we already pre-picked them.
Right.
Yeah. So let's go with all the safe picks and not pick the other ones. Meanwhile, we fired Jeremy Roenick for something stupid, but yet we let Green Day on the air saying the F-bomb a bunch of times.
Is he officially fired?
I don't know.
Well, he would have definitely been a welcome presence at that All-Star game. I
agree.
Definitely feel like he was missing.
Yeah, I agree.
He was missing because he does fun stuff, and he wasn't there to do the fun things, to talk to the players, to talk with the fans.
Instead, we had stupid Pierre Maguire.
You know. Former NHL coach Pierre Maguire.
Yeah. Did you notice almost every time they put him on the air, he was way too close to the camera? Like his face was like right there. It was like, whoa, back up.
No, I didn't actually notice that, but yeah, I was just like, oh.
When you don't like somebody and then you see them, everything they do is just amplified that much more.
Yes, this is true. So maybe he looked closer than he actually was. Like those mirrors that say objects in this mirror are closer than they appear.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't like him so much. Anyway. That's a different story.
Yeah. So why don't we change gears? I mean, we agreed that we liked the All-Star game. For the All-Star skills competition. That was fun. We're gonna change gears. We're gonna talk about some hockey cards. So for those listeners who are like, hockey cards, are those worth money? I haven't bought those since 1993, and you're probably gonna like. I'm not telling you to turn off the podcast now, but I'm just saying this is where we stop talking about the hard-hitting, serious NHL news, and we start talking about pieces of cardboard that may or may not be worth the pieces of cardboard that they're printed on. So today we're going to talk about a couple of different sets that were called Champs Hockey. Actually, really quick, I just want to do an update, though. Upper Deck Game Dated Moments, cards 40, 41, and 42 are out now. Card 40 is Ovechkin moves to 9th place on NHL all-time goals list. Card 41 is, I can't say his name, Merzlikins records...
Elvis Merzlikins.
Elvis records 3 shutouts in 4 games. Awesome. And then card 42, Patrick Kane reaches 1,000-point milestone. I will definitely be buying that one. In order to buy an e-pack card, to buy a Game Dated Moments card, you have to buy an e-pack, an Upper Deck e-pack, and then you could get one of these cards for $3.99 each. Speaking of which, 2019-20 Upper Deck Series 1 is now available on e-pack for $4.49 a pack, or $99.99 a box, or just under $1,200 for a case. So if you're one of those people who are like, I like buying hockey cards, but I don't want to go to my local card store and buy them. Or you're like, I don't have a local card store that's nearby to buy them. You can buy them on ePack. So that's out now. What else came out? You said Synergy came out this week?
Synergy, yeah, Synergy was
Synergy.
this week.
Synergy.
I think it's a lot like last year's. I haven't really looked at it too much because
Mm-hmm.
I've been a little on the busy side, but I imagine it probably looks similar to what it has in the past years. So, but I think,
Synergy would be a great name for a set that was just like all holograms, right?
well, these have like they're part acetate, part regular cards, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them you can see through and the different colors and all that kind of stuff. So, I got to check it out a little more. I don't want to speak ill of it if it actually is a decent decent enough product.
Also out this week is Topps Now Hockey Stickers Week 17. 9 stickers for $7.49 a pack. As of right now, every sticker is TBA, meaning Topps hasn't figured out who or what is going to be the subject of each sticker. Probably going to be some All-Star Game stuff because that was pretty much the big news of the week.
Yeah, I
So
would imagine so.
We want to talk about. I want to talk about Champs hockey. You want to talk about Champs hockey. So, just to give a little bit of context for maybe people who weren't collecting 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So, Champs Cigarettes made a set of hockey cards from during the 1924-25 season. They're like black and white pictures or drawings. I've never actually seen an old Champs card. I'm looking at some on eBay. They look like old photographs, which is fine. I mean, everything is either a portrait or it's a posed shot. Upper Deck bought the rights or has the rights to use that for
What
hockey
year did you
cards.
say the first year was?
24-25.
Okay.
I don't know if they did ones after that because I really don't have many cards. I don't think I have any cards from the 20s. I got a couple of oversized O-Pee-Chee cards from the 30s, and I do have a card from like 1911. But I mean, those cards are just so expensive that and you don't really see them in Chicago. And then I'll go like, oh yeah, I want to buy one. Maybe I'll go online, and then 58 people bid on the card and drive it up to like $600. And I'm like, nope, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll just stick to some of this year's O-Pee-Chee instead, right?
Right.
So in 2008, 2009, Upper Deck released a set called Champs, and it was made to look like these old cards. I mean, Champs maybe they did cards for other stuff. I mean, just to kind of give a little bit of a reference, they kind of look like Allen and Ginther cards, where you have like kind of like a beige background and then like an illustration of like the player or whatever, because it wasn't just players. There'd be like 100 player cards and an X amount of rookie cards, and then there'd be like these mini cards that were like the old tobacco card size, about the size of your thumb, and then there'd be like cards of like animals and natural wonders and presidents and prime ministers and things, that you wouldn't really associate with a hockey card. And they did Champs in 2008 9. They did 2009-10. They took a little bit of a break. Then in 11-12, they did a set called Parkhurst Champions, which had a lot of features of like Parkhurst sets from like the 2000s, but then it also had a lot of features of the Champs sets of the late 2000s. So it was kind of like a hybrid set. And then in 15-16, Connor McDavid's rookie year, I mean, Upper Deck put out so many cards that they also put out a Champs set that year.
Right. And I always heard the rumor that that one was never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, it actually did, and I think that was part of the reason why is it was Connor Mania that year. So pretty much any product you could put out there that had Connor McDavid in it was hitting on all cylinders.
So back in the day in 2008, I remember getting my tax return in 2009 and being at a card shop. And I remember the guy had a box of Champs, and I want to say maybe they were going for 120 at the time. And the guy's like, "Oh, I'll sell it to you for 100 if you pay cash." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." I really wanted to get these cards. I liked the way they looked. I mean, it was just like an illustration. Maybe it's a photo. I can't really tell. It looks like an illustration. Maybe the colors are very saturated, and then it kind of has like this paint-like quality, and then like the background is kind of like a splotch. So I'm just gonna say it's an illustration. It doesn't look like a traditional photograph. Um, I liked those cards, and I put together almost the full. I got it put together a full base set, almost all of the rookie cards. I ended up buying like all of the like small cards of like the veteran players for cheap, and then putting together. I still need many of the rookie cards, but then you had like cards of like animals and dinosaurs and stuff like that for the first year. And I will tell you this: I went and I bought a second box, and I got a redemption card for a relic card. And this relic was called a Neolithic stone tool. And it was literally just like, if you think of like an old hammer that was like made out of like a stone, this would have been the striking part of the hammer, not the handle part. But it was just like, and they just said that this is basically from the Neolithic era, and it was it has a little bit of a shape. I mean, what I have is just a sliver of that. So they took a picture of this thing, and then they put a little sliver of the stone on it, or as Charlie Brown would say on Halloween, I got a rock, which is what I got. I got a rock.
Nice.
I got a card of a rock. So
I still can't believe you got that.
Yeah, I can't either. It's funny. I wish it was a cooler card. I really wanted the dinosaur tooth. Like the one that they would show on the ads and stuff would be like Tyrannosaurus Rex tooth.
Right.
And I got a rock.
Yeah, but still, I mean, those were practically impossible to pull. I mean, I believe those are case hits. I mean,
Okay.
I know they were for the following year.
Okay.
So I would imagine they were case hits for that year as well. I don't know. I never saw anybody actually pull one, but I've seen them at shows like individually. And that's the thing, they were all redemptions if I'm not mistaken. They weren't
Yes.
actually packed out.
No.
So you had to
Too
get
easy
those
to find
redemptions.
if they were.
So that's the thing, is if they were never redeemed, so I always wonder what happened to those. Did Upper Deck repurpose them? Because I know they brought back museum collection pieces in various sets throughout the years. And did they just repurpose those pieces for the non-redeemed redemptions? Because that's the thing. If you like these sets, and I would encourage anybody to go out and find these if you can still find people selling them and pick them up. Even though you're going to get an expired redemption if you do hit the case hit, these are still value added boxes in my opinion, but there's a lot out there still. So I imagine they may have repurposed a lot of that stuff. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are for that.
Well,
But
I think they honored up to like 2 years after the redemption or something like that.
okay. Because
So
I know
the first
I mean
2 years they would be long gone.
well, I can't speak to the 08, 09 because I didn't really get into it that year because I was of the opinion when I saw that at first, I'm like, come on. This is the biggest gimmick cockamamie stuff I've ever seen in my life. And now Allen and Ginter is bleeding over into hockey and I hate it.
Okay.
But the following year, I just for some reason I didn't like it and I didn't like it and I didn't like it and then all of a sudden I liked it. And I don't know why.
It's the blue borders.
But it's always clicked with me ever since. And I know for that year the museum pieces that were included that year were 1 out of 320 packs.
Jeez.
So like I said, it's a case hit, so you're probably going to get one in a case of those, but again, it was a redemption card at the time, so the fact that you can pull a Pleistocene era alligator fang or a cave bear claw or a woolly mammoth femur, that's crazy to think about. Like I'm opening a product that I can get a piece of a dinosaur that's 6 million years old or whatever. So yeah, that I thought it was silly at the time, but it grew on me, and that's why I went kind of hardcore on the next year on that.
And that's, same thing. That's part of, well, maybe not the getting the relic, because that's always cool. But I think part of the reason why this set is so hard to put together is because you had these natural history cards that were short printed. And then I think in 2009-10, they upped it with the presidents and the prime ministers and the natural wonders of the world and stuff like that. And it's hard for me to pay $5 for a short printed card of a wombat.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make that argument, and I know. So, if I'm not mistaken, and you can kind of fill in the blank. So in 8-9, the set consisted of, was it 200 cards, the base cards and the rookie cards,
Something like that. You had your base and you had your rookies, yes.
and the rest of them, the like the
Yeah.
obviously the fossils and stuff, but the minis were separately numbered, correct?
Yes. And
So
those
they
were
were
numbered.
numbered like C something, right? If
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
I
mistaken.
think this one actually goes. Let me look at my set here, because I didn't think to jot down ahead of time. The whole set seems to go to about 400 and
80 sound about right?
something like that. 476. Yeah, 480 would be the last one, and that's
Yeah.
counting the animals and skulls and bones and fossils and woolly mammoths and dinosaurs and all that other stuff. It seems like the player cards, counting the rookies, seem to end at around, where are we here? Maybe 300?
Sure. So if you want to build, so if you
290.
yes,
290.
so if you wanted to build the set as it stood, and you wanted to include the minis as part of that, you'd have 200 regular cards, and then you'd have another 480 minis to be able to put both of those together. So you're talking
Yes,
680 cards.
but there's 100 rookie cards in champs, the regular sized, and those were short printed.
Sure.
So you had 100 base cards, and then 100 short printed rookie cards, and then 100 short printed small sized or mini sized player cards, and then however many, or sorry, like more than 100, maybe it was 200. But yeah, I mean, you had a lot. And the big rookie in this is Steven Stamkos.
Sure. And a ton of that is short printed. So, whether or not you are the purist set builder and you consider short prints part of the set or not, I mean, that's so be it. I would look at it as I'm getting the base cards and I'd have to get the minis. So there's 680 cards in
Yep.
order to pull off the giant set. The following year,
Yes.
basically you were looking at kind of the same situation, only this time they numbered the minis as part of the main set.
Yes.
They didn't have a separate numbering for them. So the base cards 1 through 100 are the normal size cards, but then numbers 101 through 580 are all mini cards. So there's almost 200 rookies. There's almost 100 rookies. There's another, I can't do the math in my head, but like 197 through 388 are the mini NHL star cards.
Yep.
And then just like this, you have the wonders of the world, the natural history, and then the historical figures that go from 389 all the way up to 580. So there's a lot. You're right. There is a lot of mini cards, and the higher they get numbering, the more short printed they are. And so, and the harder they find it within each group. So the higher number wonders of the world are harder to find. The higher number natural history ones are harder to find. The higher number historical figures are hard to find.
See, and I can kind of understand where Upper Deck would say, okay, this is a hockey card product. Let's make the hockey cards easier to get, and let's make the natural history cards, because they're more of a curiosity than anything. Let's short print those, make those harder to get. Okay, fine. But the fact that they even have to tier that's what frustrates me.
Well, And that's the thing. I'm only speaking from my experience and what I've kind of found with chasing after this set, because and just for the listeners out there, I've been building this set since probably the year after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to put together what I call my master set. It's not quite a master set because I haven't included the obviously the museum pieces
Right.
or the Hall of Legends memorabilia, because those are half impossible to get.
Yeah.
But I've been putting together the regular memorabilia, the regular autographs, all of the minis, all of the color variants, and trying to build that. And by going through that, the minis and the ones that I need generally pop up as the higher numbers within each group.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones that are harder to find. And when I do find them, they're not, 50 cents to $1. They're 3 to 5 or even higher, depending on which ones they are.
Right.
When you try to buy them.
And it's hard to justify that. Like, when do I pick up Champs minis? When I find them in a quarter box.
Sure. And that's, I think most set collectors are gonna go after them that way. It doesn't make them any less cool, because I think this set is phenomenal. I love the way it's designed. I love the pattern of it. Honestly, I think, in my opinion, I think the 09 set is better than the 08 set. The
Okay.
08 set to me was a little more boring. It was more, most of the card is that beigeish white color.
Right.
And then you have just the kind of photo that's centered in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
The following year in 2009, it wasn't to the border. It wasn't to the edge. There was a white, more of a cream colored border around
Mm-hmm.
it. But the base cards had like a blue, like a, what would you call that blue? Like a sky blue color.
Yeah,
It's kind of
a
marbly.
blue gray almost.
Yeah, and it's sort of marbly,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got that like mirror on the wall shape in the middle with the player, and then behind the player is like they're in the woods or something, like playing on a hockey rink in the woods
pit.
or whatever it is. Is that what it is? It's a tar pit?
I'm guessing.
Because
You have trees and you have like this black ground. I just thought it was like a tar pit or something. I don't know. And then
which would make sense, because you remember how this was actually advertised. If you remember the boxes of these, it was how did they say it? Where the ice meets the ice age.
And more.
It said on the box. Yeah. So you had, the fact that you could pull pieces of dinosaurs, as well as Gordie Howe, who was also a dinosaur. I mean, that was pretty cool. That was really cool. And again, I'm still trying to put all this set together. The tobacco cards are kind of cool. The minis, and that's always it's always a fun kind of thing. And for the longest time, I never really knew how to store the mini cards until I found like the pages that you can put them in. And
I have those. Yeah.
Yeah. So
nice.
the mini pages that fit the tobacco size cards. But
why don't you talk about the color border variants for the base set 1 through 100? Because you're really hype on that. I remember when we, way back in the day, I remember one time we met up at a show and I gave you just like a stack of yellow and orange and the dark blue. I think it was dark blue board. No, the light blue, like a teal, like a light
teal. It's teal. Yeah.
It's not teal, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I gave you like a bunch of those and you were like, yes, I'm going to get all of these. And I'm like, good luck. Those orange ones are like 1 per box.
Yeah. So as far as the 1 through 100 base cards, so you have the blue, which is the base. And then you have, it depends on what side of the fence you're on, but it's either teal or green, is the next more rare color version, followed by red. There's the red color version, followed by yellow, which is, was originally,
the yellow is 1 per box.
Yes, yellows fell 1 per box. Generally, when you open up a box of these, you were going to get like 8 parallel cards.
Yeah.
Out of a box, and so of those 8, it would be more or less, it would be like 4 or 5 of the green, a couple of the red, and you get 1 yellow. Now,
Hmm.
that's what I originally thought all there were was blue, green, red, and yellow. But it turns out they took it one step further, and the yellows were also released with a variant on the bottom. So the way the card is designed is on the bottom under the little mirror picture, and there's a little hockey puck with crossed sticks, and it
Hmm.
has the player's name underneath it. Well, instead of the crossed sticks, there's yellow variants that have animal pictures on them. So instead of the hockey sticks, there'll be like a little hawk
Oh,
sitting on either
geez.
side, or an owl, or a coyote, or a rabbit, or a snake, or some kind of animal there. So there's an animal variant, and those animal parallels are next to impossible. Um, you would find those about one every 80 packs or so. So they're a very tough pull. So being able to put together all of the color, if you want to include the animals in that, good luck, because some of the higher end cards, and keep in mind the base doesn't have any rookies. So the
Right.
base are just the stars and the legends. And there are
Right.
a lot of legends thrown in here. Um, and some of the higher end ones, like obviously Gretzky is going to be um, more than Mike Camilleri,
Hmm.
for an example. So if you find somebody that's got the Gretzky yellow animal variant, you're probably not going to wrestle that away from them for less than 3 figures. I will tell
Really.
you that.
And it,
I
yeah.
saw I saw a graded Crosby yellow animal one. It
Hmm.
sold for like $480.
Wow.
So it's little out of my price rate. But I do have like 12 or 13 of them that I've
Well,
found.
just give like for context, like what would just the yellow border that's one per box, what do those sell for, like on average? Or I know obviously good players sell for more.
Yeah, so you can get yellow border ones most of the time for a couple bucks.
Hmm.
I would say between $2 to $4 for in most cases. You'll find the probably the mid-range stars. Um, you know, 5,
Right.
5 or more
Okay.
maybe.
So like your
Um,
$5 to $10 range basically for your, unless it's somebody like Gretzky or Crosby, then it's going to go for more. But when it has
yeah,
that
and
animal
that's
print, so
right.
those
The
seem to
animal
be like
print
one in
ones are
every
crazy.
4 or 5 boxes.
Yeah, the animal print ones are absolutely crazy. And when I find them, if I can find them for a pretty good price, I definitely pick them up just because of what they are. But I mean, here's to give you a quick idea. Just I looked it up while we're sitting here talking. So the yellow, just the regular yellow Gretzky, the cheapest one right now. There's one on COMC for it's $33
Okay.
for the yellow Gretzky. It's $23 for the yellow Crosby.
Okay.
So I mean that gives you an idea of two of the higher end yellow ones of what they're selling them outright for.
Hmm.
But as an example, Red Kelly is about $12.
Hmm.
Ilya Kovalchuk's about $12. Um, Henrik Zetterberg Animal Print is about $12.
Okay.
So I mean, it just depends on the level of player and I guess what the rarity of it would be in the grand scheme of things. But like I said, I'm putting all of it together, but it's like slowly but surely. I've had the base cards forever. I have multiple sets of the blue
Hmm.
that I've been able to accumulate as I've gone through. I can't tell you how many boxes I've opened of this.
Hmm.
Just because for some reason this is the set that every time I look at it, I'm like, I love this set. Like I love it so much
Hmm.
because they don't look like, to me, they don't look like cards necessarily.
Hmm. More like works of art, maybe.
Yeah, like a little.
See, that's how I feel about the previous year, the 08-09 set, because it had a little bit more of an illustrative quality to it. I mean, you said there was a lot of beige to it, but I mean, white space I think is okay sometimes. And to me, I don't know. It was like it had that old timey feel. It had that artistic quality to it. I thought it was still very colorful. That's why I liked Champs the first year. The second year, the blue borders just was kind of like, okay, whatever. They put borders around it. I didn't like it as much, but I mean, everybody has their own opinion.
But the red one, you have to admit the red ones are nice looking.
I would have liked it. You know what I would have liked better? See, this is what I would have done differently. And this is how I would have drove collectors crazy, but also made them buy 20 boxes and want to buy 20 boxes. Is that I would have done more color variations, but I would have made them all the same print run. So I would have done 9 different color variations, but they all would have been seated the same. So maybe you get a purple Crosby in this box, and maybe you get a yellow Crosby in this box, but one isn't necessarily worth more than the other. So then you kind of figure out, well, do I want to build a set where all the color borders are different, or do I want to build a set where they're all consistent? And I think that would be kind of a fun thing where it's like, yeah, there's 9 different versions of the card. They're all base cards. And it's up to you. Are you going to build the set with mixed borders? Are you going to build the set where like maybe all the guys on this page you put on yellow borders and all the guys on this page you want to get them with red borders? See, I think that would have been more fun of a challenge than like, I kind of like the color variants, but they're short printed. So I'm not really going to chase after that because, one per box, I'm just, for a variant, I'm not interested.
Sal, come on. You're telling me your collecting OCD would allow you to put together a set with all different color borders?
I would at first, and then from there I'd slowly branch out, and then eventually I'd try to get all of them. See, I would do 9.
That's exactly what
you do.
You would try to build 9 different sets, all of the same color, and then you'd probably even challenge yourself to do one as a rainbow color.
I think that'd be fun though. Like I think that would be, because I think of like the 73-74 top set where some had green borders, some had yellow borders, some had blue borders, and some had red borders.
Were centered.
Huh?
And none of them were centered.
And none of them were centered, right. Whereas with the O-Pee-Chee set, they were either, I want to say red or yellow borders. They didn't get the blue or green, which is unfortunate, but, that's whatever. I think that would be fun. I think that would make the border variations more fun. And by the way, this is why I like player collecting, because I won't necessarily want to try to complete a parallel set, but if I have a player that I collect, I'd get the parallel of that, and sometimes that's good enough for me, where I say, well, I don't have the entire Emerald Ice Parker set from 93-94, but I got the Chris Chelios, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and that at least gives you the option to kind of bow out from that and be like, look, this is what I collect and this is what I'm going for, and be able to do that. But, if you're trying to build a set like me, you're like, well, I need all of the colors of Carey Price. Mm-hmm. And for some reason to this day, I still don't have the green one and can't find the green one. And I've never been able to find the green one.
So then Champs came back for the 15-16 season, and it almost seems like it's kind of a hybrid between the two designs, because you still kind of have this border a little bit, like this cutout shape that the players are in, but then they kind of look kind of illustrated. I mean, there's a lot of white space, which I think makes the player pop more. That's why SP Authentic grew on me over the years, because of the white space. But I didn't really collect this year, the 15-16. And they started doing some really crazy stuff that year where they had cards of rugby players and soccer players and of different species of fish and food items like the smoked meat sandwich and the Montreal steak and
come on, those are cool
styled pizza. And these were not little bitty cards. These were like full size 2.5 by 3.5 inch cards.
Correct.
Where you're just like, do I really need a Montreal steak card?
Yes.
Do I really need? No.
If you're building the set, you do.
Yeah, if you're building the set, you do. But I feel like, I don't know. That year, I just wasn't really into Champs. I got a box for one reason or another, and I just kind of looked at them. I'm missing all my short prints, so I think I gave those to you already. I think I just kept the base cards, and I might have given you the short prints because I'm looking at the ones that I have here, and I don't have any short prints. So they ended up somewhere, hopefully with you. But
I don't know if they did or not. I don't remember. I know I got a box of this because I was like, champs, cool. And I got a box of it, and at first I was like, eh. And as it kind of sat, and I picked up a few things here and there, and it started accumulating more, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let me put this together. Let me see what I can do. And so I started building that one as well. But you're right, there is a lot of white space on the card design on these, but it's kind of a hybrid between the 8 and the 9 sets. Where it has a lot of the white space, it brings the border in. It's kind of an antique-y type border, and the design kind of harkens back to the old cigarette style designs before. But for the most part, the cards they're all full size. There aren't what do you call it? There aren't really minis as part of the set. But you're right. There is a fish set, quite a few different fish. I don't remember how many were in there, like maybe 30 cards as part of the fish set, wow. including a Seattle Sockeye, which may or may not be the name of the new team. Gary Bettman wouldn't confirm that this weekend. And yes, there is Famous Foods, which is kind of gimmicky and stuff, but Coney dog and pierogies and lobster rolls and chicken wings and I forget what else is in there. But they did go the step of what has usually been reserved for Goodwin champions. And that's kind of intermix other sports and other event type people in cards. Like I think there's some track and field people in there. And there's also some historical people in the checklist as well. And they're all part of the main base. And I think there's 320. I don't know. Do you know what the nut card? It's like 300. There's only like 320 some cards.
Yeah, I'm not
325, sure. 327, something like that. So it's not as big of a set as the previous 2 years, but when you get into the high numbers, they are short printed. So the rookies are all short printed. The high numbered cards are short printed, which are the whatchamacallit, like mostly retired players is what's in those higher. And there's different tiers of short printing too. There's short prints and there's super short prints. And then there's super, super, super short prints, which are the last few cards as part of the set. And those are what do you call them? Like rookie. I can't think of the name of
threads.
No, they're why can't I think of it? It's not coming to me. Wow, this is just like a waste of dead air space because I can't think.
So you're talking about the 15-16. There's some rookie cards that are like super short printed.
Yeah, there's like the really high numbered ones. They're rare stars. That's what they call them. Rare stars. Oh. Yeah. And so like Lemieux's in there, Ovechkin's in there. So yeah. So those are like next to impossible to find. And when you do, they're very expensive.
There's also color border variants.
Yeah, there's gold variant fronts and there's also gold variant backs. And the gold variant backs are on different, they're different. So like you'll get a gold variant front. It may not necessarily have the gold variant on the back.
And I got to look at all my common cards and see if any of these have.
If it's a gold variant back, it has the champ symbol in gold, like real big right in the center. And if it's just the regular card, it looks just like the normal card with the stats in the back.
Yeah, it looks like all of these are normal. So
there's also silver parallels, and those are numbered.
Wow. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think I only pulled one silver parallel ever out of the multiple boxes of these that I've opened, and that one silver parallel was like a woman boxer or a
Hmm.
bodybuilder or
Hmm.
MMA fighter or something like that. I don't remember even who it was. So, and that's that. So,
Wow. So yeah, I thought the champ sets were nice. I was a little perplexed that they didn't continue for the 10-11 season, but that was a year that Panini America was also making NHL hockey cards. So it seemed like Upper Deck had to cut back what they were making a little bit, and maybe they didn't go so far off the deep end there. I think
there were production caps on how many card sets they could produce, right? Because there were two
probably
manufacturers.
there are two manufacturers, so they
Yeah,
can't just let one make 30 sets and the other one then gets to make 30 sets. And
right.
um, so I was probably a little disappointed that Champs didn't endure the next year. When it did come back in 15-16, I was so focused on Upper Deck Series 1 and Series 2 that I don't think I really bought anything else that year. I mean, those were the sets I was buying. I might have bought a few other cards from a few other sets, but that year I was just really focused on Upper Deck. And Champs just kind of flew under my radar that year, and I was just like, yeah, it's nice, but I think at that point, like, I felt like the idea was kind of done. Like, I would have liked it if it came out every year consistently. But then it goes away and then it comes back, and it's just like, I don't know. I think by then my preferences had changed a little bit. I'm not saying that if a champ set came out tomorrow, I wouldn't collect it. I guess it depends on how it looks and what the other cards were like. And then, of course, how challenging it is to build, because sometimes I'm just not interested in like short printed veteran cards. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
you're
maybe the
not a
rookie
big fan of
cards.
those short prints. I know that.
Well, I understand that rookie cards have to be short printed, but I don't think that like you need to like just take like the 30 best players in the NHL and then make them short prints also, right?
I don't disagree.
I mean, that's why I don't collect Fleer Ultra usually, because unless I get a box set. When they were doing those different tiers of like short printed veterans, and it's just like, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and like we had talked about before, MVP started doing that too.
oh, did I? I'm sorry, I meant MVP. I said Fleer Ultra, I meant MVP.
Oh, I
Um,
gotcha.
good catch, good catch. Yeah, I
Oh,
was sorry, you know what? Ultra glossy, full color, two sides cards just kind of all blend together after a while, right? Like, how do you tell the difference between a victory card, an MVP card, and a Fleer Ultra card?
is this a joke? I don't know.
The Fleer
How
Ultra card has a Fleer Ultra logo, the MVP card has an MVP logo, and the victory card has a victory
okay.
logo.
All right.
Otherwise, there's really no difference, right?
All right. I'll give
I
you
mean,
that.
it's the same, glossy on both sides, color on the front and back, right?
Right.
This one has a victory logo. That means it's only worth $1. Oh, this one has a Flair Ultra logo. That means it's worth $2.50. This one's got an MVP logo, $4.
Yeah. Well,
So, anything else you want to say about champs before we wrap it up? Our patient listeners have been listening now for just about 90 minutes.
all I can say is I think that anybody that's looking for a nice throwback looking set and wants to plop down a couple bucks for something that's not too expensive for a box if you can find it. I mean, generally you'll find these under $70 for a box if you can find them still.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. They don't always pop up, but when they do, that's usually about the price point on them. And I'd be more than willing to snatch one up at that value. If not, even if you're not necessarily a hockey collector, the fact that you can pull 1 to 2 mini signatures out of a box of these, and if anybody wants to go and check out the signature list of the players that are available to get signed, that are signed on here, it's not just hockey players. So this isn't just a set for just hockey collectors necessarily. This has got one of probably the best autograph checklists I've ever seen. Barry Sanders, Michael Jordan, Nolan Ryan, Larry Bird, LeBron James, they're all in there. in addition to Gretzky and Gordie Howe and Crosby and those guys. So it's a huge undertaking if you go after the set, but I think it's definitely there's definitely value there, and it's a fun break if you find a box.
Likewise, and I'll do a little bit of a plug here. If you are interested in a base set of 2009-2010 Champs Hockey, I have a complete base set for sale over on my Puck Junk shop. That's shop.puckjunk.com. I have, of course, I've been selling T-shirts on that site. I recently added some complete sets of trading cards, and I have a set there of 2009-10 Champs Hockey 1 through 100. If anybody's interested in that. I agree. It's a fun, definitely a fun break. I mean, if you try to build the set, you'll probably need 2 boxes to get close to a base set, and then you could probably pick up the few extras that you need in trades or on eBay or on COMC.
For 09 for sure, you only get 50 base cards. So
yeah, my 2 boxes had 49 each, and I only remember that because I just pulled up my box breaks from 10 years ago. So that's why I have a good memory for those things, because I was actually looking at my box breaks. All right, then I guess we're going to wrap it up. So I want to thank you all for listening. If you like this podcast, please tell your friends. Please tell your family. Please tell the other hockey fans in your life. You can subscribe to the Puck Junk Hockey podcast on iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play Music, Stitcher, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on anywhere where you can, subscribe to podcasts.
We are all over.
We are everywhere. If you like this podcast and want to support it, consider buying a shirt. But until next time, thank you for listening to our podcast, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Peace out.
For more hockey goodness, follow us on Twitter @PuckJunk.